Hello and welcome to the midweek edition of Journalists Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. On the program today, President Buhari suspends Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the DG of the National Intelligence Agency. Presidency rules out fresh communication with Senate over Magu. And later on the Hangout, troops step up attacks on Boko Haram, rescue more than 1,000 people. Babachir Lawal, Stella Sawyer and Yomi Olomofe are all lined up for today's program. So if you're ready, let the Hangout start now. President Muhammadu Buhari has suspended the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal, for his alleged involvement in the award of contracts under the Presidential Initiative on the Northeast. This is pending the outcome of investigations into the allegations of violation of law and due process against the SGF. The president also suspended Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador IOK, in connection with the discovery of large amounts of foreign and local currencies by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Lagos. The directives set up a three-man committee headed by the Vice President to conduct both investigations and submit its report to the president within 14 days. Now, when I got this, it was like, now the president is talking and the president is actually acting. Yesterday on the program, we were asking questions that 2 years down the line, an appointee, a sensitive appointment like that, and it's not because of that even appointment, the controversies surrounding the $43 million in Ikoyi, that thing has refused to go and it's making major headlines around the country. Now, let's start from the SGF. A lot of people have seen, since last year when the Chief of Army Staff was said to have gotten a property in Dubai before So a lot of people felt that the president would have acted and investigations and everything showed that maybe due process was followed, maybe declared it in his code of conduct form. But the basic thing there is that because of this SGF thing, it wasn't easy. And a lot of people felt that it has been swept under the carpet. But for the president to come out right now and say, okay, we are not indicting you. We've not indicted you. Vice President, lead a committee, head a committee. Mr. SGF, please step aside, pending the time of an investigation. And we have just 14 days. What does this say about this administration?
Yes, this is how a serious government should be. This is the president took the right decision. Let me also tell you that one of the reasons why the Senate especially has been very hostile is because of the attitude of some
appointees of
Mr. President. Remember, the Senate recommended his sack. They wanted him sacked outright. Now, for the same man to accuse them of talking balderdash and claiming that he didn't get fair hearing. In fact, everything that Babachir Lawal said, Sheikh Usani effectively combusted. Because the report of the Senate is a very, very detailed one. Very, very detailed one. So, the moment he was indicted and the presidency didn't really take any action, the senators dug in. They began to play the adversarial role. They began to see themselves as opposition within the government. So one of the things that this decision, one of the things that it will achieve is to kind of build confidence in the Senate, especially that, look, it's not as if we do not respect you. The man who showed disrespect to you, who said you were talking about the dash, whom you recommended his sack in your ad hoc report on the humanitarian crisis in the Northeast, we have decided to suspend. That will make some of those senators feel that, yes, at last these people are listening to us.
Step in the right direction.
At last they have shown us that what we did was not an exercise in futility. Because there is nothing as painful as investing your time, your energy on a particular course of action. And then someone comes to give the impression that you've merely wasted your time. It pained them. It really, really nettled them. And if you remember the way Sheikh Usani spoke.
Yes, that statement of saying that the president is using deodorant.
The worst critic of Buhari would not have spoken the way Sheikh Usani spoke that day. It showed the depth of their anger about how the Babachir David Lawal's matter was handled. And then it also, the other implication of this is that even the Attorney General of the Federation himself, who was asked to investigate a matter, and after investigating the matter, you've now, and he cleared David Babachir Lawal, you've now asked Babachir Lawal to proceed on leave. He says so much about Malami. It means that what Malami did, that Malami didn't do a decent job. That Malami was biased, he didn't do a decent job.
But he's also a member of this committee.
You see, remember that the government, remember that the senators even doubted that President Buhari wrote that letter that was sent to the Senate, clearing Babachir Lawal. They said they do not believe that the president wrote the letter. So now if the president has said, okay, well, we suspend you, look, it is to send a clear message to people that, yes, within my administration, there are many people who are angry because they think that there are some looters within my administration. Now I'm beginning to take action because, look, whether we like it or not, Abba Kyari's name continues to resonate. Why are people around the president being branded as corrupt?
Yeah.
So you see some of the most virulent critics of this administration, whether from the north or the south, the reason they are so virulent is because they felt that the president continues to shield the people around him. And the worst of all is what has happened with this NIA team. So the president has sent the right message across that, look, he's not prepared to, even if he was shielding people before now,
this action,
he wants to stop shielding people.
Okay.
So loud and clear. Putting the vice president, you know, before we started the program, we were talking about it. You know, putting him as the chairman of that committee speaks volume about the seriousness of this assignment.
I was coming to that. The president could have just picked anybody, but the fact that he picked his vice president, who everybody see, I mean, I think there's this tag about his name now, Mr. Integrity.
Yes. So
that is somebody who will not take a no for an answer. I don't think he's somebody who anybody had indicted to be
at all.
You know, then, well, of course, if we have to bring religion into this matter, this man is a pastor, and you know the way he carries himself, he wants to, you know, keep himself in the front burner as a man.
So no amount of political pressure, no amount of lobby.
He's actually not a politician. So to him, he's going to just face this job squarely. He's been asked to head the committee to investigate Lawal and. Okay. So I think, well, 2 weeks is just around the corner. We'll wait for the outcome of the report. But I think it's also taking it from where Otoju stopped. The fact that most people have been complaining that the presidency has been shielding his appointees, men who ordinarily people are seen as, you know, corrupt, that most times when they are indicted, the presidency keeps mum. I think what is happening now is clear signal that the presidency meant business. The fact that corruption is what I had, you know, it's first, that was what he said he's going to do. Make sure that Nigeria is, if not totally rid of corrupt people, but at least he's going to fight corruption. I think this is also another step in the right direction, showing us that the presidency means business. And if he's starting with his SGF, that's is
massive. Big.
I mean, it's big. And for the NIA, I mean, I was, you know, expecting the presidency to have spoken up maybe a week ago when the issue came up that immediately this money, you know, the Ikoyi residents, the money gotten from this residents, immediately it was discovered. I think NIA ran to the president to say it is our money. I think people were saying, how come the president did not say anything? Now the president is talking. Okay, now we're going to investigate. You go, stay away, and let the VP and the other members tell us what exactly is the problem.
Because in the last, since last Thursday or so, when this story broke about the $43 million, it has brought a lot of question mark to the anti-corruption fight of this administration. And I think Ambassador Oke coming out and you know, claiming that money, it has brought a lot of conspiracy theory. And with this now, I think it would be convenient to say that the president wants to play neutral and get to the bottom.
Well, Ayo, for me, I think it's early days. It's early days because let's take a quick backtrack to the composition of the team that will investigate and report the allegation of involvement in violation of law in the award of contracts on the presidential initiative in the Northeast. Other than the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, I am really hard put to be too quick to give any comment either way.
I just said earlier that that might be enough to make the difference. Because being the chairman of that committee.
Yeah, because if you look at the Attorney General of the Federation, he had given this fellow a clean bill before now. And retaining him yet, and this gives one cause for some small worry. However, the presence of the Vice President in that committee will also help to douse some of the residual fears, to douse some of the. Now, having said that, the discovery in Ikoyi of $43 million for me is just a part of an ongoing drama. We have all said that so much money was wasted in the run-up to the 2015 general elections. But I have had cause to say to a few people that yes, so much money was deployed, but the bulk of these monies are still being held in some places. So what is coming to fore now for me is just, and you know, yes, it's just.
We'll quickly take this break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. This is Journalists Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out. Stay with us. Still looking at the suspension of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the Director General of NIA. Jomi?
I was saying that for me, I think these discoveries last week will trigger some more. And Nigerians should just possibly keep their fingers crossed in expectation of some more discoveries along these lines of massive amount of money kept, you know, and you know, now to try to tie it to the National Intelligence Agency's Director General's claims that those funds were, you know, for NIA. I really am at a loss. I'm at a loss because I don't know what laws allow such funds to be kept without the awareness, I mean, without accounting processes. The man, maybe in the course of this investigation as has been directed by the president, will need to tell Nigerians how, the committee who will then inform Nigerians how and where those funds were sourced and for what purpose, and why and how he has been quiet over it up until now.
You might not get the details because it's it's a security thing.
But I think it's something Nigeria.
No, it's important.
You might not get the nitty-gritty.
No, it's important that it's important
might
that
not be a media thing.
It's important that we do not.
The DG owes the responsibility now to convince the Yomi Oshibajo-led committee.
Yeah. Definitely,
Let's wait for his explanations.
Now, Jide, with what we are saying now, because this president came with, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill us. And in this same administration, we've noticed that there's still some parastatals, there's still some organization, there's still some political appointees. They are still running that business. It's like business as usual. Case in study, NNPC. They unremitted, unaccounted, unbudgeted funds. People continue to still ride roughshod over our collective patrimony in NNPC.
You see, the customs too.
The corruption is not a battle that we can win in a jiffy. We have to fight corruption with the right tactics, and we have to be patient to get results. You see, I said on this program some time ago that the level of unremitted funds from the NNPC, even under this administration, and the facts are there, within the, if you look at the time that this administration has been in office, you look at that time, compare it to the same time that Jonathan was in office. The level of unremitted funds from the NNPC is higher than under Jonathan. That is a fact. I proved it on this program. So it's not as if because Buhari has come to power, then corruption will take a backseat. No. I also said it on this program when some of us were jubilating about the release of the budget, that whether Buhari likes it or not, that there will be budget party. That even if he puts a gun to people's heads, they will still steal through the budget. On the day that he presented his first budget, I was not excited because I knew that there will be padding along the way. And at the end of the day, we saw unprecedented level of pardon. You see, no matter how determined the president is, some Nigerians are much more determined to steal. Now, because we are not jailing thieves. We find it difficult to jail those big thieves. So it emboldens other thieves that, look, did that one go to jail? And our society deifies thieves. We saw what happened when anybody got back to this country. We saw how it was received. So we have not even stigmatized thieves in our country. Until we begin to do that, you will not see an improvement. You will not see an improvement. The president wants to fight corruption, but we have seen clearly now that not all the people around him buy his idea of fighting corruption. So some of the people who are very close to him, they've shown to us over a short period that if they have their way, they will even legalize looting. So this is the situation. The stealing is still going on in NNPC. You saw what happened, the 15, how many billion that they said, oh, they are going to suspend some people. The people stole, you know, this problem between NNPC and that oil company that has a filling station just down the road. You know the one we are talking about.
You don't want us to mention names.
Some billions involved. They said, oh, they are going to fire people. And Nigerians are saying, you shouldn't just fire those NNPC guys.
They should be
put them on trial and let them go to jail. That is the way we are. When their children, you know, are humiliated in school and they laugh at them, and those children are forced to even leave that school. That is when people will realize that, look, stealing does not pay. But for now, we've not done enough to show that stealing does not pay in our land. In fact, we are approaching the level of even legalizing stealing. You know, so the president must look within. Even the president's wife hinted at it. He hinted at it. Sanusi, voluble emir of Kano, continues to talk about it. There's so much stealing going on now. People are stealing through the dollar, through the exchange, the window, the multiple exchange rates that we have. They are stealing. So the thing is, there has not been a significant improvement. Yes, we can talk about it, you know, but people are still stealing. And the old man is there. His conscience is clear. He wants to defeat corruption. But it's not going to be easy.
It definitely is.
It's not going to be easy. We must all be involved.
Just like it was under Obasanjo. Of course, if you're corrupt, you want to fight whatever it's going to make, you know, bring you to the limit.
Because
so I think we have a system.
Like the fight against corruption is a pet project of Muhammadu Buhari and Professor Yemi Osinbajo.
Yeah, I mean, and
some of their aides, in fact, I can say many of their aides do not believe in the fight.
Definitely.
You see,
they've not shown us that they believe in the fight. Otherwise, this won't be happening.
Because if there's anything the corrupt will do to fight this,
200 million
they will do it
to clear grass. 200 million to clear grass. And what the law says is that you cannot even, any company where you have vested interest.
You don't give the person a contract.
You see, I think really and truly, Professor Yemi Osinbajo is in the eye of the storm with this committee. And the outcome of his, the outcomes from the investigations will go a long way to speak to Nigerians whether this government is very serious and committed about fighting corruption.
The president's image, the vice president's image is at stake.
That's what I'm saying.
So let's challenge him the same way we challenge Dogara.
Yeah, that is not just about the report.
Let's challenge him the way we challenge Dogara.
Yes,
that Dogara should match up to the short man who is the governor of Kaduna State by doing exactly what he has done. So the vice president is watching us now. The vice president is a devoted Christian. He still goes for digging deep and all that, even while he's in office. So he must show. Is
there anything wrong with that?
I'm telling you that. I'm saying that he's a devoted Christian.
Okay.
I'm validating that.
Okay.
I'm not saying it is wrong. I'm a Christian. I'm a redeemer, just like him. I'm saying that in
spite
spite of his tight schedule, he still goes for digging deep. He sets up time during his work day to go and pray, and he will come back to the office, walk up till like 11 p.m. before going home. So that is the vice president that we have. But what we are saying to President Osinbajo is that he has a good name that he has built over the years, and he must show to Nigerians that that big name, that good name remains intact. So he must deliver the right verdict.
I have Mazi Okorafor from Abia State.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Yes,
good evening.
Comrade Mazi Patrick Okoroka from Abia State.
Mazi,
thank God for what the president did. But what I'm saying that although this action is coming very late,
it's not too late.
It's not too late.
All this stuff is lingering. Like one of our guests said that in Nigeria today we are advertising corruption. What I want in this country that when issue has been raised, within 48 hours, action must be taken. There and then. This will make Nigeria. At the end of the day, that's what our man would just one of the guests say that in Nigeria, corruption has come to stay. The only thing that we should not be reducing it. Nigeria has to be very, very careful. Like I want to say that.
Thank you, Mazi. Thank you for your contribution, Mazi. I'll quickly take this commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and reaching home stretch on this. So we expect that in 2 weeks' time, that's 14 days. I like it. It's not a long time. The way time is. So Jide, 14 days. We expect the vice president to present his report.
14 days for the vice president to live up to his good name. 14 days for the vice president to show us that there are still decent Nigerians in this country. 14 days for the vice president to show Nigerians that what the GO Adeboye said about him is perfectly correct. Because the GO Adeboye said, when you give Osinbajo a job to do, you can go to sleep. The president has given him a job to do now. The president should be able to go to sleep, believing that Osinbajo
and Nigerians too
will do a job,
a
job that will validate his conscience and get Nigerians to start thinking again that this is the government of their dreams.
Okay. Mine is just to comment on what Mazi said, that it's rather late. To me, it's not late.
It's better late than never.
It's better late than never. So we're waiting for the outcome. 14 days is just 2 weeks.
Jomi?
So.
Yeah, some damning evidences have been advanced. It is now up to the committee, as led by the Vice President of this country, to lend credence to those damning evidences, or, you know, show us a convincing flip side of the issues. Long and short of it, the Vice President is the cynosure of all attention now.
Fairness, in spite of the damning evidence, fairness, forthrightness, and objectivity. I'm sure Professor Yomi Osinbajo will be able to live up to the billing, so that in the next 14 days, we'll come and talk about this particular committee, the report. The question as to who heads the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, is still an issue of concern. Since the Senate is insisting on not confirming Ibrahim Mustapha Magu as the chairman of the Anti-Corruption Agency, the senators have insisted on his replacement. The non-confirmation of anti-graft agency boss has set the executive on warpath with the legislative arm of government. Last week, the Vice President Yomi Osinbajo said President Buhari did not find any indictment by the Department of the State Services, DSS, a strong reason to replace Magu. Osinbajo further said he is behind Femi Falana's stance, stating that the confirmation of the upper chamber of the National Assembly was not needed for EFCC chairman's appointment, citing provisions of Section 171 of the Constitution. Similarly, the presidency has disclosed that President Buhari needs not to communicate his latest position to the Senate. Can President truly appoint Magu without confirmation of the senators? Jide, before, we've had Nuri Badu, we've had
the lady,
Waziri Farida, we've had Ibrahim Lamude,
Yeah.
and now Mustapha Magu. From those from Nuri Badu to the last appointee,
Yes.
they all went through Senate confirmation. The 1999 Constitution did not factor in Section 171 EFCC by naming it, because by the time the framers of the 1999 Constitution, they've not established EFCC. EFCC was established maybe 2002, 2003. So Femi Falana is now latching on this Section 171. Now, why did you forward Ibrahim Magu's name at first when you know you are going to be citing Section 171 at the end of the day?
They probably didn't know that they will be citing it at the end of the day. The Senate has made citing this section inevitable. Because if you have a Senate that is extremely hostile, that has made up its mind that because Magu is going after some of his members, going after the wife of their president, therefore they must ensure that
terrorizing them in their words.
That's terrorizing them. They've used the word terrorizing the wrong way, as if they don't know the meaning. You know, he has not terrorized them in any way. He's just trying to do his job. So if I'm trying to do my job now, you can't say I'm terrorizing you. It's my job that I'm doing. So it makes no sense even now, and I'm happy we said it before even the Vice President cited what Femi Falana said. We said it on this program, that there was no need for them to seek Senate clearance, and that clearance, and that the President still retains the power given to him by the Constitution to appoint. So, since he retains that power, he can keep that man in acting capacity.
Jide, I want us to be mindful of precedents.
Yeah, so even
by the time we leave this precedent now,
the Vice President,
tomorrow another person might be appointed in that position.
For well, it doesn't matter as long as
President Buhari might not be there tomorrow.
Says, what it doesn't matter. You see, when you set the precedent, people will follow it. There is no need. Magu is not one of the people listed in the Constitution. I mean, the EFCC chairman is not one of the people listed in the Constitution as people who need to be screened by the Senate. He's not one of them. The Senate EFCC chairman is not one of them. And the Supreme Court judgment is quite clear on this. It was Justice Ayola that read the lead judgment. Then he said, where the Constitution has covered the field as to the law governing any conduct, the provision of the Constitution is the authoritative statement of the law on the subject. Where the Constitution has provided exhaustively for any situation and on any subject, a legislative authority that claims to legislate in addition to what the Constitution had enacted must show that and how it has derived the legislative authority to do so from the Constitution itself. The EFCC Act is just like the Electoral Act. There is no act that can be superior to the
Constitution.
In this case, we are saying that Section 171, subsection 1, does not insist that the EFCC chairman has to be screened before he can function in that capacity. It's not, they listed the people that are covered. People like Secretary of Government of Federation, Ambassador, High Commissioner, and the rest of them. It's not listed. So the Vice President knew what he was doing when he said even a notebook lawyer
who understand
that the law is clear on this. They put them, they showed, the presidency showed respect to them.
By, by saying
perhaps now we have a lawyer, an eminent jurist, as vice president. He knows what the law says. You know how many times that man went to Abuja to do cases against the federal government on behalf of Lagos State. So he's battle tested. He knows that when it gets to this point, there is no judge that will place greater accent, except a judge who has been compromised that will place greater accent on an act over the Nigerian Constitution. So in this case, it is safe. They don't need to go to them anymore. Stella, and we are happy the man is doing it.
I'm looking at our institution now.
Yes.
Bukola Saraki might not be the Senate president tomorrow. I'm looking at that seat and the position of that Senate. That for all the excesses or for all the actions of the executive, that the legislature should stand as a check. And the framers of our constitution envisage the situation that, Mr. President, yes, you can choose whoever you like, but it has to go through this Senate.
What I can say, on this issue is that the presidency and the Senate, they're not on the same page concerning anti-corruption war. It's so obvious that, with Magu's stance on insisting that some of them or some of their relatives or some of their cronies go through, investigations under his commission, has put paid to his, the fact that he will be confirmed from the Senate. And if we're talking about anti-corruption war, the same people who dominate the Senate are members of, they are politicians under the platform of APC. The presidency, as we know, is an APC government. And what is that telling us? That there's a house divided against itself. And that is not what Nigeria needs now. Like I keep saying on this platform, we don't want, the issue of if Magu is confirmed or not is not what Nigerians, though it's part of it, but that is not what we're really eager to see. We want a change in governance, a change in the economy. People are hungry. People are angry. People want to see that things are moving. So I don't know why the Senate is trying to, play God, in quotes, concerning this Magu's issue.
Jomi, do you think we should approach the Supreme Court for a constitutional interpretation of this?
If these arguments continue to go back and forth in this manner, that may also become an inevitable option.
We will not approach any Supreme Court.
But for me, as a layman, this constitution, the Nigerian constitution, is so clear on these things. The fact that they have taken Magu's matter before the Senate for clearance, arising from what has become the tradition, because previous because previous chairmen of the agency had been so presented, does not nullify the provisions of our constitution. And the provisions of our constitution is clear in these matters. Now, the provision that allows them or that encourages them to take such confirmations. Wait, let me come.
Okay.
the provisions that encourages the executive to take appointees such as Magu to the Senate is by the instrument of the EFCC Act. It has been established that the EFCC Act is not superior to our constitution, to the Nigerian constitution. And so therefore the provisions of the constitution is clear and straightforward as to those who are who are expected to be presented for Senate confirmation, and those who are at the discretion of the president to appoint and then continue with their job. So for me, the Nigerian Senate really needs to understand.
Does this not look like we are appropriating and reprobating? And
no, not at all.
When it suits us, when it suits us, we are looking for a convenient way out.
It's not a matter of
I don't understand. It's constitutional.
In this case, we've seen the situation. Let's test the law. The law says clearly, and I've read to you, except if you just want to be an unnecessary agent provocateur.
Yeah,
I've read to you clearly
maybe the voice of the Nigerian
what the Constitution. Okay, maybe he wants to join them.
Maybe
you see, when that section, Chapter 6, Part 1 of the 1999 Constitution, is referring to the federal executive, and the column D therein is talking about the public service of the federation, and it lists the people that it applies to. Secretary to the government of the federation, head of civil service of the federation, ambassador, high commissioners. It doesn't list EFCC chairman
because EFCC has not been established.
But you see, it had not been established at that time. But our law, validated by various rulings, judgments of the Supreme Court, affirms that the Supreme Court, that the Constitution is superior to any act
of legislation.
So the EFCC Act, as we speak now, cannot be superior to our Constitution. We are going by our Constitution. We are not interested in the EFCC Act anymore.
Okay, let me quickly take this break. When we come back, we'll trash this out more. Please stay with us. So, welcome back. We have to be on the same page when it comes to the fight against corruption. How well do you think the legislature, how well do you think they have keyed into the vision, the fight against corruption of this administration on this Magu issue?
They've not keyed, whether on Magu issue or on even Saraki, they've not keyed into any vision. They've keyed into their own vision.
Own personal,
because the National Assembly is dominated by people who have stolen from us, by governors who are taking already, they've collected surveillance benefits, they've gone to that place to collect hefty, extortionate wages. Extortionate wages that cannot be justified in today's Nigeria. That's what they are earning. And you want them to fight corruption. Corruption, it will amount to waging a war against yourself. I am corrupt. You want me to now support somebody who wants to kill corruption. That means you are inviting that person to come and kill me. It's like a soldier inviting an artillery barrage. It won't happen. He knows he will be gone. Have you ever seen that?
I said the same.
The soldiers will be saying, oh yeah, bomber. You can see the fighter bomber overhead and say, oh yeah, bomb me, bomb me.
Well, we've seen the National Assembly, they've held several workshops on the fight against corruption and everything. I've seen workshops, I've seen them bringing people.
Workshops that are not designed to achieve any aim.
What was the outcome of those workshops? You see, for now, are we saying that... Well, of course,
I heard Saraki talking
many
about
of them are still
on this Arise TV, and he was saying corrupt people are patient. I said, oh, you two talking about corruption.
But you see, okay, let me quickly take Adeniro. Adeniro is calling us from Oyo State.
Yeah.
Thank you for holding on, Niro.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Very well.
Good evening. I want to really wish you guys well, and I thank God for what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
I want to talk about this Magu's case. You are talking about precedent. I want you to know that during Waziri and the other person that those two directors then, those two chairmen of the EFCC, money were actually changing hands between the executive and the legislature there. So you cannot compare that tenor this time around now, because Buhari is not ready to share money with anybody. He's not ready to give Ghana must go to any of those senators. That is why they actually mad at the appointment. So like Julian actually said, the concern actually supersedes whatever act. Nobody is interested in the act. Nigerians are after the constitution, so that is the stand of Nigeria.
Thank you, Adeno.
I don't know, is alleging that something used to change hands
even with no
for smooth,
they call it lobbying.
You say nobody paid money to put.
But you see, Ayo, what I want to say about this entire unfortunate saga is this: you need to look critically at our Senate and look at the senators. They have come to conclude that the Senate is their chamber of refuge after having perpetrated all manners of atrocities and financial banditry.
As governors?
Having held office as governors. Do you understand it? Now, how do you expect these people to approve the appointment of a Magu who is chasing after them?
Who is bent on jailing them?
Who's chasing after them?
I mean,
who has the courage?
Who has cases?
Who has the
against them in
will?
court?
Who has the will to confront the person of the Senate president and his spouse? So you see that what we're saying, there are two different set of visions here. The vision of President Muhammadu Buhari about corruption is totally at variance with the vision of the largely corrupt members of the National Assembly as we have them now. Show me one person in that assembly that is not a product of either a state, haven't served as a state governor, or haven't served as this or level, that. You know. So now they now go back to the Senate after doing their 2 terms in their states to hide, to seek protection. The protection they have gone there to seek.
Looking for immunity.
Exactly. The protection they have gone there to seek is what President Muhammadu Buhari is trying to, divorce of them. So my own take on this is that there are two visions. The visions of those who want to perpetuate corruption.
I think the presidency is like a fight to finish. The presidency is determined to keep Magu. And I think the Senate too will not be happy. So to me, it's like fight to finish. We want to see who wins at the end of the
will that be in our interests? Because
well,
if the Senate is out
in
to
our
frustrate...
I know it further strain the relationship between this presidency and the Senate. But it is in our interest. It will also show us that the president...
Will this government move?
Why won't
definitely.
Government is moving.
Definitely.
Magu is moving.
If the National Assembly is like kind of hostile towards the Senate policy, they will bring bill, they want to collect loan, they want to do so many other things.
Then Nigerians will stand up and encircle the place and chase them out of those chambers. Nigerians will do it. If Nigerians see clearly that these people, they are enemies of progress, Nigerians will attack them. You think they will keep quiet forever?
We're working towards that.
They can't blackmail an entire country because you want to remove Magu by all means. And we are not going to remove Magu. I'm saying we because I'm actively involved in this. Operation Keep Magu in EFCC. I'm involved.
Well, I think it's important.
We have to move on. Okay. Last Monday, troops on clearance operation at Jarawa village in Kalabage local government area in Borno State rescued more than 1,600 captives held by Boko Haram terrorists. A statement by the Director of Army Public Relations, Sani Usman, said the troops came under heavy fire at the village and they responded decisively. But on the same day, members of the insurgency group had unexpectedly attacked a military checkpoint in Sabongeri Kimba village in the state, killing 5 soldiers, injuring 5 others. Reports say this was the second attack on the same military checkpoint in a month. Meanwhile, the Defense Minister, Mansour Dan Ali, has said it might take years to find all the kidnapped Chibok girls. Is federal government really winning the battle against the Boko Haram sects?
Yeah, well, no doubt the insurgency war is not over. From the reports we got, well, some people are still being rescued. That shows that even while they're after... For
somebody to hold over 1,000 people captive.
1,000 captives.
So how many people will be watching over them?
That is it. So the war is not over. I think it's a call, that we still have a lot to do as a country especially if we're talking about fighting terrorism. Fine, governments they're trying. They've shown us that they really meant business. You know, rescuing some girls, not only girls. Well, of course, we're talking about girls, but we will also need to know that some men too, some boys too, some women too were also, you know, abducted. Rescued. You know, abducted, and some were rescued. So we want to pray and plead that the military continues the fight against insurgency and put every arsenal in place to make sure that terrorism should not kill us in this country. We're having a breather now. Some few months ago, you know, we're all agitated, you know, because every other day you keep hearing of, you know, bomb, you know, in one area or the other, people being killed, but that has subsided for now. When
you look at this pattern, and when you look at this story, it will take any discerning man to know that, look, there are still some places that, you know, they are like enclaves to these terrorists, because when you keep over 1,000 people in a particular place, that means the place might be a no-go area for the Nigerian military. Yeah. And at a point in time, before they were liberated, and it's not just 2-3 people that will be holding over 1,000 people captive.
It depends on, as I said on January 1st, it depends on the story that Nigerians want to believe. I continue to insist that there are still Nigerian territories in the hands of Boko Haram. There are territories in Cameroon in the hands of Boko Haram as we speak. So this is an international terrorist group. If you saw the video that Boko Haram released recently, the Boko Haram guy was speaking French throughout and showing pictures of dead Cameroonian soldiers. So this is not the time to play politics. Sometimes you see a lull in the activities. It doesn't mean that they are not active. They are holding Nigerian territories. I was even surprised that Calabalgi, because by now I would expect that they are no longer in places like Calabalgi. But if you can hold more than 1,000 people in a community, that means you are in control of that community. And some Nigerians get killed because they force them to pay some little levies here and there for protection, you know, like all terrorist groups. And when you fail to pay, they waste you. You see, so there are Nigerian communities, especially in those 3 local governments that I always talk about, that Boko Haram are still controlling. Especially when you are going along the border with Niger Republic and Chad, they are in firm control of communities in those places. And we've seen people call on our program to say that the soldiers don't even go to some of those communities. So the truth is, and we have seen our defense minister, because these days the defense minister just talks, and the way he talks, you do not even have hope. He was saying that the other day that he said Shekau is still inside Sambisa. The same Sambisa where we jubilated that we've captured. Our defense minister came out to say Shekau is still there, which is in line with what we had said all along. And now he's not saying that it will take... Now the same man is saying it will take years. Already it has taken years. This administration has been in office for 2 years. We don't even know where they are. Before we capture Sambisa, you expect that at least maybe we will know where those guys are, we will surround them. But it didn't happen. We took over an empty forest because that Kamzairo was empty. There was no battle for Kamzairo. It was empty, we just took it over. Those guys had fled because we announced that we were coming. So this is the thing. And from time to time, they kill soldiers. Let's put our minds, let's put ourselves in the position of relatives of these soldiers. Nigerian soldiers are paying a heavy price. People are dying. A lot of those reports you don't see in the newspapers. A lot of those reports you don't see in the newspapers. Young NDA boys. People are dying. These 5 soldiers that were killed now, at least they are people's relations. So we must continue to pray for them.
To quickly chip in, you see, if we consider the vastness of the landmass where these people operate, that transcends so many states, that runs into other countries, we should understand that our military should be a bit more discreet in their public communications. You see, when you make frivolous public statements about the goings on, it's not solving the problem, it's aggravating, you know, it's escalating the issue.
And they respond.
You know, but if you quietly, continuously make progress and inroads, I think that is more healthier for Nigerians. So for me, my take on it all is the leaders of the military and those responsible for this Boko Haram and insurgency fight should be a bit more discreet in their public comments.
All right, we just anchor it there, and we hope that Nigerians, our soldiers, will be able to make good, and as Julie challenged that before the rainy season, they'll be able to make enough inroad into the camps of these enemies and clear and bring back our girls ultimately, and that's it.
Not only our girls, bring back all those
everybody.
who have
All
been
in captivity.
Yes.
Bring back our boys too, Abi.
Yes.
And that's it on Journalists Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can also watch Journalists Hangout on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalists Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozuba. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.